Hi muckers, welcome back to my second channel. Okay, so the last couple days have been very messy on the second channel. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't immediately open with, I'm on a flight to New York right now, but I wanted to devote some time to kind of talking about where I'm at and what's going on. It has been a mess the last week on my second channel, so I apologize for that. I know that there has been a lot of downer content, if you will. I was going through it and I feel a lot better now. And a big reason for that was I never wanted to kind of open up to do with a lot of things in my life, and I think I hit a breaking point where I was forced to kind of open up, and I feel so much better after doing that. So if you can take anything from this, if you're going through it right now, please talk to people because, wow, it really helps. And I had made a video where I talked about that my apartment in Brighton is almost up for renewal, and it's a year-long contract. And obviously I lived in Brighton for 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then a lot of stuff happened with the Colleen situation. My apartment got doxxed. I had welfare checks being called on my apartment because crazy people online were wasting the police time and stuff. So I had to get out of that apartment, and in a complete panic, I not only left the apartment that I spent my adulthood in, but I left Brighton. Now, I am from Derry, I'm from Ireland. I moved out when I was 18, and it's really funny because I moved to Brighton when I was 18 because Mariah Carey was going to be doing Pride. Now, Brighton in England is really big for their Pride festivals, and Mariah Carey was going to be doing it, and then it ultimately got cancelled because of COVID. But I had already booked my apartment and stuff, so I moved and Mariah Carey at Pride didn't happen. And I was so lucky that it worked out, and I had an amazing 3-4 years in Brighton. And then summer of 2023 got really hectic, and I just felt that I needed to get out of Brighton, and I kind of walked away from everything and I moved to Manchester. Now, the reason I moved to Manchester was because I was out with friends one night, and one of my friends was moving to Manchester, and I was like, well, maybe I should try that. I don't know where to go, and I don't want to go back home, but I don't feel safe in Brighton right now because of everything that was happening at the moment. And I moved to Manchester, and it just wasn't for me. I went through one of the craziest situationships I'd ever been in, and I just didn't vibe with the city. And so I had signed up for a year-long contract in Manchester, and I had spent most of that time traveling or staying back home in Ireland, so the apartment was wasted, and I was lucky enough to be able to move back to Brighton, and I did. I moved back to Brighton in February, March of 2024, and I've been in Brighton for a year again, so I've been in Brighton now for 4 or 5 years, if we're excluding Manchester, and it was really great to move back. I, feel that my relationships with my friends got a lot better after leaving for that time period and coming back, and yeah, I feel like it was really good ultimately. And I moved into a new apartment. It was a much bigger apartment. It was better for the dogs. I have 2 dogs, Bonnie and Dolly, and it had a better garden, balcony area for them, and just everything was perfect for that year. Other than I went through another crazy situationship, but we're not going to talk about that. I just mean the apartment, right? Now, like I said in my video a couple days ago where I talked about, I'm going to move to America, this is what I want to do after this tenancy. I have all these factors of not renewing my Brighton apartment again. It's a year contract that I would be signing up for again, which means that in February I would be signing up for another year. And I just don't think I want to be in Brighton for another year for many reasons. The main one being, I feel like I've gotten all I need to get out of Brighton. And you know what? I love Brighton. I love my friends. It's like a happy leaving, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I spent 5 amazing years there, but I just feel like it's time to move on. I love my friends. I love the city. I love my memories there, but, you know, I think coming back to I need to sneeze. Oh my God. God bless. On the airplane. I just feel that leaving and coming back really solidified that I had an amazing extra year there, but I don't want to renew for another year. The other reason, like I said in my video, was because I travel so much for filming videos, doing collaborations, going to the likes of like VidCon and all the rest, right? And in doing YouTube, it is so American focused. So I find myself throughout the year, you know, paying my Brighton apartment rent. And my Brighton apartment rent is like $2,000, $2,500, which is a lot of money for an apartment, which I love, but that I'm not living in to the fullest because I, in a way, feel like I've gotten everything out of Brighton that I go to, you know, other places. And for America, I go to film, and I go to do podcasts, and I go to do collaborations, and I go to do meetings, and I'm so fucking lucky that YouTube is so silly in a way, because you get to have all these opportunities of traveling, and it can be part of the job. And this next year, I am doing, you know, shows in America in February, and then I'm also doing shows, they haven't been announced yet, but in July and August, and I'm doing VidCon in June, and I'm doing meetings at the start of June. So I'm going to be in America from June, July, August, and then back in September. So I was like, there's no point in renewing my apartment in February for a year if I'm going to be gone most of the time of the renewal. Now, I had made a video, and I basically opened up about the fact that I feel like maybe it's time to move to America, you know, because I'm spending so much money traveling out there anyway. And again, just this, I feel like I've gotten everything out of Brighton in a way. And the response was really interesting. I appreciate everyone that was giving me a response in the comments. And if you have any thoughts on what I'm about to say, please let me know, because I promise you it's really helpful. You know, mainly people were saying, why would you want to move to America in this current climate? You know, everything is very up in arms with the political climate of America, and I mentioned that in my video, and I'm very aware of that. But my point in the video, which I don't think people got, was I don't hand over my citizenship if I was to move to America. Like, I still have my Irish citizenship, my European Union passport, but I just have my work living visa because of the tour for 3 years. That was one thing. And then number two, I understand everything that is going on in America. And my point was that I'm already going to be out there for touring, podcasts, meetings. So living out there is no different than being out there for work. You know what I mean? And I have just been like really sitting with this and really thinking with this over the last couple days. And so I'm currently on my way to New York. And I'm in New York for Christmas. I go to New York every Christmas time for the Mariah Carey shows. And it's just my little tradition. Before I go home to Ireland, I go out to New York and I hang out with my friends out there. I go to the Mariah shows, and it's just my little downtime, right? And it's always really fun. I get to film so much. I get to do so many collaborations. I get to meet up with people, all the rest, right? And this time is no different. Now, in planning for this trip, I've been really thinking about the fact that when I come back from this trip, I go straight home to Ireland for Christmas, and then back to Brighton for New Year's, and then I have like 2 weeks to really either move all of my stuff out of my Brighton apartment, put it into storage, or dump it. And the problem is, with my new apartment in Brighton, I bought a lot of furniture. I moved into a rental property. I've always rented, and I bought furniture for the first time to try be adulting, that kicked me in the ass, didn't it? Like, I'm now moving again. And I had a really long conversation with my parents, and they were like, you should put your stuff into storage. So I'm going to put my stuff into storage. And then I was thinking, I'm going to be I have no apartment, I have no living space from February on. And I start working in America in June. So I have January, February, March, April. I have 2 months of up in the air. I have nowhere to live, right? And my stuff is going to be in storage. And the original plan was to go straight to America and figure something out, right? And I've just been thinking the last couple days. And if anyone has been involved in my YouTube world, you will know that the cities that mean the most to me are New York and Paris. And you know where I'm going with this. So, again, I have 2 dogs, Bonnie and Dolly, my girls, and they are back home in Ireland right now. And I had a very long conversation with my parents and my family, and it was a lot. And it was ultimately decided that because I'm not renewing Brighton again, the dogs should stay home in Ireland with my parents where they are right now. They go home for Christmas. They should stay there until I figure out what I'm doing with my living accommodation so that I don't move them to New York and then they have to fly back home because I don't love New York, or they go to Brighton, then I don't want Brighton. You know what I mean? I want this to be as least stressful for the dogs as possible, because I'm trying to be as responsible as possible with not moving them too much. And the fact they're home right now with my parents, I know they're happy and I know they're safe and I know that I'm going to see them every couple weeks, but I just don't want to stress them out with moving them around too much, right? I really started to think about, should I move to Paris first? And it's been many days of this back and forth thinking, should I do it? Obviously, with America, it makes sense, right? I have all of the work, everything. That's the main point for moving. But in Paris, I, have friends there. I have some friends there. I have 2 or 3, whereas in New York I have many. And it's a great networking city. I have gotten amazing fashion week opportunities in Paris, and I've met some friends who put me in connections with amazing managers and stuff, but I've never, followed up on that, because why would I be in Paris long term? You know what I mean? It's always been my getaway city. Now, I first went to Paris when I was, I think, 18 years old, and it was the first place I ever traveled. And I was going through my old footage, and God, first of all, I just want to say thank you for watching my videos on a selfish note, because it's meant that I've got to film for so many years, which means that I get to look back on stuff. I was able to look back on footage of me at 18 years old, traveling for the first time, my first ever trip. I went to Paris, and the footage of me, I remember it. Aging is a crazy thing. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember being so nervous to get on the flight for the first time on my own. How was I going to navigate from the airport to the hotel? What was I going to do in the city? I don't speak French. Just feeling so young and ambitious. And I remember everything about that time period and how exciting it was. And I remember just falling in love with Paris. Truly falling in love with Paris. And I was watching the footage back of me at 18, my first ever hotel that I was in, and just that time period And I want to play a little part of it right now, if you don't mind, just to kind of show you where I'm at. So let's play it. And then I look over here. What the actual fuck? What? Like, are we seeing that this is my view? Y'all, I'm trying not to be loud or obnoxious right now because, sorry, I need to come back in here because I know that my neighbors are currently having a Zoom call outside. My neighbors, get over yourself, Adam. The people beside me are having a Zoom call, so I'm trying not to be like obnoxious. But I honestly teared up when I first fucking saw that. I was surprised I had emotions. Just, this is my balcony view? Like, y'all, that's the Eiffel Tower. That's the Eiffel Tower. Like, this is me, right? I can't be quiet out there. I know he has a meeting, but like, what? Like, if I was to put you down here, right? And I go back here, it's actually a bad way of showing you, but like, I don't really know how to do this to the best of my ability, but like, if I am sitting here on my balcony, this is what's behind me. Oh my god. Like, if I'm sitting, right, this is the view. This is not a replica, this is the real one. Look at that reflection. Wow. Oh my god. So like, if I'm sitting here on my balcony, like, right? This is, like, not normal. This is, like... Bitch. Oh, like... yeah, that's the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. And it's, like, so wild to me because I'm like, that's the actual Eiffel Tower. Like, that's not like, no shade, but that's not like the Las Vegas, like, Eiffel Tower. That's like the actual motherfucking Eiffel Tower that I have been literally printing out pictures of since I was a child, hoping one day that I would be able to, like, stand in front of it. And, like, I don't know how I've catfished my way to being here and, like, oh, let me go out in the balcony and, like, oh my god. So crazy, right? So it's like this is the picture I need. You know, I've got my tourist picture, I can go home now. But like, you can zoom in and just see everything, you know what I mean? It's so beautiful. And one thing I will say, I'm zooming out, you see all these buildings beside it? They go kind of all the way around here. Some of them are kind of down there. By the way, it's a beautiful day here. And you see the Eiffel Tower like this? What I'm gonna end this on, right? I just wanted to do a quick video to show you because I was like, of course I want to fucking show you. So I remember that trip. I just fell in love with it. I have never loved a place as instantly. Like, even New York took me a little bit of time to, like, it was always my dream to go to New York, but like, it took me a little bit of time to like figure out its quirks, and like, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons to New York, and they're the same for Paris, but I have never fallen in love with a city, and I don't know if it was because it was the first city I ever went to, as Paris. And from that first trip, I have traveled Paris, and I'm so lucky so many times. You know, living in Brighton was a great thing because I was able to easily access Paris. You know, I could get the train to London and then get the train to Paris. And so I would go multiple times a year. And and I would go and just hang out by myself, and I would spend the days walking, going to museums, getting coffee, and ultimately I would meet friends. And even to this present day, I now have one of my best friends in the entire world, Louise, who I met in Paris, and my friend Anna, who I met in Paris. And me and Louise literally traveled the world together. Like, we went to Japan together. We traveled together, and we met in Paris on a random night out, and we talk all the time. Like, we were talking before my flight. Like, we were texting a couple minutes ago, like right now, and like, she has given me so many ins in Paris. Like, she has introduced me to so many people in fashion, so many people in social media management, so many just of her friends who are models, who are artists, and we just have the best time when we're together. And again, we only saw each other in person like a couple weeks ago, and it was so much fun. I traveled to Paris for the day, and we had so much fun that I extended the trip, 2 days, because when we're together, we just have so much fun, and we talk about art and music and our careers, and she just inspires me so much. And my friend Anna, like, we talk about art and our careers and what we want to do in life, and like, they're just so driven, and I just love their fucking energy. And I was lucky enough to meet people out there, and they're still consistent in my life to this day, you know what I mean? But anyways, over the years, I have fallen in love with the different districts of Paris. There's so much in Paris, and I will always find my way back to the Eiffel Tower. I will always go back to the Eiffel Tower, but I will go around different markets, different streets, different districts, different whatever, and I just never get enough of it. I've brought situationships to Paris. I've brought my friends to Paris. I brought my mum to Paris. I brought my dad to Paris. I brought my mum and my dad to Paris. Like, I truly have never felt so fulfilled in a place ever, or so in love with a place. And I've always dreamed of living in Paris, but the reality of not speaking French fluently has obviously always triumphed the fact that, like, why would I... Oh, that diva was like, what is he... Who is he talking to? Baby, I'm talking to my friend. Not speaking fluent French is always the thing that has stopped me from considering living in Paris. Like, my friend Louise, my friend Anna, anytime I see them, will be like begging me to move to Paris. And I'm like, well, I can't. I don't speak French. And they're like, well, we didn't when we moved here as well. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't think I'm that clever enough to learn it. And it's been the thing that's been like holding me back, where it's like just a dream place. And I guess my question to you all is like, is it worth the risk? You know what I mean? Like, I obviously know that I'm going to end up in America, but is this the time to, like, make a risky move of trying Paris? Like, I mean, it's better to move to Paris and love it or hate it, and then move to America, then move to America, and then have to move back to Paris. I'm not that far from Paris now, and my stuff will be in storage anyway, that I won't be so far, and I'll be closer to my friends, that I could just get a train back to see them, and closer to my family than being in America, you know what I mean? And I mean, I'm already going to America all of summer for work, between tour and conventions and meetings that I'm doing. Is it worth it? Like, I mean, it's scary, and it makes me, like, really, like, nervous to think about, but is it worth taking a risk and moving to, this city that I have visited? I mean, I've probably been in Paris, like, I would say more than, like, 20, 30 times now. Is it worth the risk, I don't speak French, but, like, could I learn? Could I, like... I mean, I have friends out there, and, I don't know. I don't want to get emotional here because I got emotional talking about America too, and I don't want people to think, oh, he's flip-flopping, because I feel the same way about America for different reasons. Like, for America, it's all work-oriented, right? And then with Paris, it's all, like, life-oriented, you know what I mean? Like, I feel so inspired there. And this isn't like, it's not like Paris I've gone to for like a weekend and been like, ooh la la, like Emily in Paris. Like I've spent weeks there before. You know, I've stayed in Airbnbs and like, I've gotten the Parisian experience. Like, I've stayed in bad areas. Like, it hasn't all just been like staying by the Eiffel Tower and like, yes, like, I've stayed out there for weeks where like I'll spend a lot of days just in my Airbnb and going grocery shopping and like, but this city has this charm that I just fell in love with, and I just feel so inspired when I'm there. And my life is so different when I'm out there. Like, I go out more, like, the streets are so beautiful. And there's so much to do. And I just feel inspired. Like, I feel like a fucking Gabby Hanna, like, artiste when I'm out there. And the people that I know out there, when I hang out with them, they make me feel really inspired. And this isn't saying anything on the people I know in my life now, but like, my friends now aren't talking about their careers as much. They're more so talking about like their relationships and stuff, which I love all of my friends now. But my friends in Paris, my friends in America are very career driven, and my friends in Brighton and stuff are more so like going with the flow, and I love them for it. Like, I love them for it. And even my friends back home are very go with the flow, or else they're in college or something like that. Is it worth the risk? You know what I mean? I'm just going back and forth on it. Like, I leave my apartment in February, and I have 2 months before I really start working in America. Do I go straight to America, or do I give Paris a chance? And I think I'm nervous to do it, because what if I, like, don't want to leave Paris? And that's, like, an exciting thing as well, which is, like, I never thought I would ever have the opportunity to try living in Paris, because there's been a lot of, I would never bring the dogs over and get all their paperwork for me to try it for a couple weeks and not like it. But with my parents being so graciously looking after my dogs until I figure what I want to do with my life out, I'm like, this is the time to try it. But it just feels like really crazy to imagine, like, from like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I've been traveling to this city many times a year, and it's crazy to think that, like, I mean, for the first time I could live there, and that, like, could be my normal. And I'm also not unrealistic with this. You know, I know the downsides of Paris. I know living there is not the tourist thing. I understand that because I've been there so much, and I have so many friends that live there. And anytime they've ever been like, oh, Adam, you need to move to Paris, I've always shut it down. And I'm like, what do you guys think? The same way you gave opinions on me saying about America, like, I would love your opinions on this. Like, should I go to Paris first and try it? Like, I just think back on all the times I've been there, and one of my favorite things to do is just, if I'm having a bad night and it's like nowhere else in the world, there's just jazz bars, and you go in and you can have a glass of wine and you can just get lost in music and in art and feel inspired and just know there's communities out there. And my favorite jazz bar is called like Chateau La Huchiette or something like something like that, right? And I've brought my situationship there, my mom and dad there, my friends Joy and Aoife there, my friend Neve there. Like, I've brought everyone there, and it's just this jazz bar where it's in a basement, and it's just different generations dancing and enjoying live music. And when I'm in a bad mood, I think of that place, and I've realized that when I'm feeling down, I do picture Paris, and I'm like, should I give it a shot? You know what I mean? And I guess if you're a new viewer, you might not get it as much as like a long-term viewer who knows how much I've been to Paris. I'm like, do we try it? Everything I'm saying about work in America still stands. I need to be in America for work this summer anyways. But what if I was to try Paris for 2 months before I go working in America, really fall in love with it, or really not? You know what I mean? And then I can make a decision knowing I tried it. I weirdly, in a way, feel like I owe it to like my 18-year-old self who like dreamed of living there. I don't know. It's equally as exciting as what it is anxiety-inducing not knowing where I'm going to be living in literally a month's time. I've never been in a position before where I don't know what I'm doing, and this is really the first time in my life that I don't have a plan, and I'm trying to figure it out as quickly as possible. So, what do you think? Is it worth giving it a shot? Or no? Or just, you know what I mean? It's the first time in my life where I have the decision to luckily try either. So what do you think? And I genuinely mean that. Like, I would love to know your opinion of it. I read through every comment on the I want to move to America video, and I swear to God I will on this as well. And this one's like even more important. Please let me know. I am gonna love and leave you. Yes, I am currently in the sky right now. Hold on, let me turn the camera around and like prove to you. Baby, we're currently in the sky, honey. Literally on our way to New York. And I guess this New York trip as well, like I'm gonna, feel different about this time in New York because there's a possibility of me living in New York. And again, I still want to live in New York. Like all my friends are there, work opportunities are in LA. I just don't think I could ever live in LA, but I could travel between New York. But I'm like, if there's any time for me to try Paris, I mean, maybe it's now. And again, is it better to try Paris before I try America because it's closer? Oh, I need you to help me. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Alright, I'm gonna love and leave you from the sky. TTYL.